Welcome everyone, episode number 43 of the monthly dev event. Today we'll talk about community buildings and we have two great speakers already here. Super intro, of course. Let's keep that just 5 seconds for the intro. And welcome. Sound check. How are you?
Hi everybody. Hi Francesco. Hi Rachel, and hi everybody in the comment section.
Nice. So Haimantika, you never saw that. Hey Rachel, how are you?
Good. Hi Francesco. Hi everybody. Hi Haimantika. I saw the intro when I was prepping. I was watching some of the previous ones. I was like, such a sick intro. It's so sleek. And I love it that it's purple, of course, too.
Of course. And yes, so we will start soon. To be honest, this is one of my favorite topics. I loved, for example, Rachel's title. We'll say this soon. And apart that, before we start, I would like to ask Rachel, where are you now? I'm curious.
Yeah, I am at that conference, Wisconsin. So I'm at the Kalahari Resort. I've got the meerkats behind me. Oh, I see someone loves my hair. Thank you so much, Kira Life. So I actually, when I was I'll kind of dig into it in my talk, but I had the opportunity to kind of line these up together. And I was like, oh, that's so fun. It's like that conference is so much about community. And this topic is also about community building. So the timing is perfect.
The timing is perfect. Luckily, it's not the same exact slot of this one.
Yes,
so this is what perfect means. Haimantika, we met some weeks ago. No, 1 month ago.
One month.
This is mind blowing because we met in person. And so, where are you now? And like something about yourself. Then we'll make the quick longer intro later.
Yes, so I'm in the same place you met me in Bangalore, India, and I think since this entire session is about communities, I would like to mention that this city in India it's very equivalent to San Francisco in US. Like people call it the Silicon Valley of India, and like right before this session I was working on from a cafe, and then right beside me there were two founders working on some startup ideas. So it's that crazy here in Bangalore, and the community feeling you get to see even in coffee shops. You get to see, you might just cross your paths and meet somebody from the community. So it's that huge and that big here. And that's all about a little bit about the community feeling in India and where I'm living right now. And about me, we'll talk about that during our presentation.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Before we start, hi everyone, you can say hi in the chat. Don't be shy. You can also let us know where are you from, because for example, as you said, Bangalore is a big city. I've been there for I will say something later, and so let me know where are you from. If you are in a dev community, if you like dev communities, so feel free to say that. Before we start, maybe I would like to ask if any of you knows daily.dev, and if you want to share your honest opinion about that, maybe Haimantika.
Yeah, sure. So, like, I think I got to know about daily.dev while I was working at Apprite, and then there was this group that Chrissy started, and it was known as Open Source Queens, if I'm not getting the names wrong. And then Tessa was like, okay, there is this group that has been started by Chrissy, and it's open source and it's for women. I think you should join. And then I started joining a few more tribes and all of these groups. And most of the times, if there were some open source projects or if there are articles that I wrote, I would share them, and a lot of people would give me great feedback. So it was an online community where people could actually read my things and give feedback, so I could instantly connect to daily.dev. Right now I have it's a shame that I don't post as much, but I still read a lot of articles there. Like it's there on my, like I have added the extension, so every morning I just go quickly and see what's going on in the dev world in general. So for me, I think it's very equivalent to the newspaper that we used to read years back, that every day we used to see that, okay, what's new here or what's going on in the world. So right now it's equivalent to the newspaper of the tech world. That's I have a lot of fun. And fun reminds me that I also got selected for the giveaway of the cool card that you made. I love that card. So yeah, that's everything that I wanted to say about daily.dev.
Thank you so much, Haimantika. This was basically an amazing like intro of Daily Dev, and we also collaborate a lot with Hashnode. We still collaborate a lot. Thank you. This really boosted my moral and made my day. We have so many people from different parts of the world. This is mind blowing because we have Vietnam, USA, Canada, Nigeria, Brazil, Kenya, India, Nepal, Netherlands. I'm from Italy, so we have people from different parts of the world. I would say let's start with these talks. So we'll start with Rachael. So Haimantika, talk to you later, okay? Bye. Perfect. So probably Haimantika will still be in the chat. Rachael, you work at Deque, right? How do I
Yeah,
pronounce
it's actually DQ.
DQ, sorry
Yeah.
for
No
pronunciation.
worries.
Yes, so I love the title of your presentation. So maybe we can announce it now, and then this will be an interactive session, right? This is how you want to do it. Please introduce yourself, and then we'll jump into the talk. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Francesco. So I'm Rachael Yomtoob. I'll give a little description of myself visually in case we have any friends in the audience who cannot see or are visually impaired. And so I have a purple, like dark purple with like neon pink and green, teal mullet with like shaved sides, super fun and funky. And I'm wearing a DQ t-shirt that says "Digital Equality is my jam." Because it is. I love and live and breathe digital equality, digital accessibility. So I've been working at DQ Systems for 5 years. I joined as a web dev and then moved into the product owner role. And then we'll dig into it in the talk, but I did about 9 months as developer advocate at DQ, and now I'm back in my product owner role. So that's kind of the high level of me, but in today's session, I'm really going to kind of dive deep into my story and my involvement in developer communities and how it's impacted my life.
I'm really excited about this, and if you have for sure any question, this will be more a conversation. So feel free to interact, drop your questions if they are relevant, of course, to the topic. We might get them during the talk or maybe at the end. We have some time, Rachael. So. So what's the title of your talk? If you don't mention yet, I'm not sure. And then we can start. I'm super excited, and because I have also many questions about this.
For sure, yeah. So the title of my talk is how joining the dev community changed my life. And so I think what I want to start with is I spent a lot of time in tech, but not really engaging in the developer community. So I want to start like kind of all the way back it up to when I was a young child. I had always had an interest in tech because my father was always interested in tech. He ran his own little small business, kind of like the Geek Squad from Best Buy, where you would go around and fix people's computers because they had viruses in the early 2000s. And I would tag along as a toddler and hang out and just like be there in the tech environment. And so I always had tech in my life, and I was always like encouraged about it. And so my first kind of question is, I'm curious of those in the audience and you, Francesco, as well. When did you start getting invested and excited about technology in your life?
Yes. So in the meanwhile, while people are still typing, about the tech community, I don't know, because I've always loved the computers, but I was not involved into the tech community because I was doing a different job. I was teaching in a gym, coaching in a gym, so it was a different part. I feel that I started being active in the tech community in 2018 because I went to a conference here in Italy, in Rome. And this was my first, let's say, community event. And I was not even active on social media. Like now people might be mind blown because I'm super active on social media, but there was life for me before social media. I didn't like it. So probably that's the moment. In 2018, I attended a conference here in Rome as an attendee, of course. Like public speaking was not even in my life goals back then. Yeah. Now I did many. So probably that we have someone from high school. Just drop everything you want in the chat. Don't be shy because we really want to have an open conversation. And yes, so and And I think that I remember that because that really started to change my approach. I think that I got into social media because I went to in-person events first, because
Yeah.
I think it was like a first way for me to, get out of my introvert and tortoise shell. And
Yes.
I know many people, I know that they will not trust me, but this is how everything started. So for sure, being part of a community, for sure, it changed my life. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I mentioned, I have always been interested in technology, similar to you. Like you said, like I've always loved computers, but I didn't really seek out the developer community until last year, actually. And so I had a lot of other communities in my life growing up. I was a Girl Scout as a young kid, and then I was in marching band. If anyone in the chat did either of those activities growing up, feel free to, say so in the comments. I know there's a lot of like marching band people that are developers now. There's a lot of overlap there. But so I had kind of these other communities in my life. So I wasn't really seeking it out in other developers. I kind of always saw like software development as a career path. And then I had all of these other activities in my life that were more my like fun things to do outside of work. And it just like, I knew that it was a thing. Like there was always communities. So I attended college at University of Michigan, and I studied computer science. So there was lots of different organizations around technology. And a little bit candid about me, I'm non-binary, but I was raised as a female. So I was assigned female at birth. So a lot of groups that were, promoted to me were like women in tech kinds of groups, or like Society of Women Engineers. But I think a combination of the gender thing, figuring that out, but also, like I said, I had kind of these other communities. So I never ended up really joining or engaging in either of those, or even really making a lot of friends in computer science, because I was in the marching band. So I had a bunch of friends in marching band, and I was like, oh, I just like kept to myself in my computer science classes, just like on my laptop, type in my notes. And then what kind of got me into digital accessibility was I joined a project team. And so I think in a way that's in and of itself a very small community. I was on a team of 5 or 6 other students where we were coming from different backgrounds, studying different topics. So I was studying computer science. We had a computer engineering student. We had a communication student, an art school student. And we basically all come together to work on this project called, but it was about building an indoor navigation application for people who are visually impaired. And so that was my first introduction to the concept of people with disabilities using technology. And I wasn't even aware that like a blind person could use a smartphone. And so that really set me on my trajectory of my career path. But what happened was through networking and through that community, I found Deque, and I was offered an opportunity at Deque. And then once I joined Deque, I kind of really just settled in and hunkered down. And I was like, all right, I have a wonderful team I'm working with. I love the product. I love our mission of digital equality. But I wasn't really seeking out like other inputs and like, going to conferences. It just like didn't really interest me that much. I was happy where I was at. And then I kind of had the opportunity to step into the developer advocate role. And that's when I was like, okay, now I'm going to be all about this community thing. Like that's literally my job. And I just like dove in head first. So maybe I'll take a bit to pause because that's kind of like a big chunk of my story there. And I'll let you, Francesco, reflect, and we'll see if we got something in the comments, if anyone has any similar experiences or thoughts.
Yes, thank you, Rachael. No, I think that Victor, we have people here, but yes, I really like your story in this first part. We have some questions, but I totally understand, especially if you go with a developer advocate role. For example, I didn't plan to become a developer advocate. When I got into tech, I would say, okay, I'm switching from doing like a very job focused on people, like coaching and working in a gym, to what I consider like a boring and isolated job, but it was more like a decision, to improve my career. But now, you see, after getting my first role in tech, it was for a full stack developer, I'm going back more now into the community, in-person events, conferences. So, I'm going back on basically what similar to what I was doing before. So that's it. And I want to believe that also my previous job is helping me, especially for the in-person events. So for me, going to conferences is like, going to a stadium for a match. It's similar now. We have some questions, Rachel, but so if you want, can integrate this with your like your story, that is super interesting. Thank you so much. You're also getting many compliments, of course.
Thank you.
And so Udai is asking tips to build community around a project. So have you ever been a part, or maybe you created a community around a project, so around a specific goal, and it can be open source or not. So do you have any tips for this, or maybe you can share your experience? Thank you.
Yeah. I'll share my experience because it kind of segues into my where we just left off in my story of becoming developer advocate. Because at Deque, we are the open source maintainers for Axe Core, which is the world's leading accessibility rules engine. So it's an open source package that you can integrate into your automated tests to find and fix accessibility issues. And that's essentially like our bread and butter. So that is our the core of what Deque does is accessibility and tools. And so we also, part of my role as developer advocate was continuing to build community around that open source project, Axe Core. And we also have another open source project called Cauldron React, which is a component library that is accessible by default. So I've also gotten a chance to kind of take those two communities and continue to build them. They were already kind of existing. And then kind of the third piece of community events that I've been engaged in as developer advocate was AxeCon, which is our yearly digital accessibility conference. It's completely free, it's virtual. So I was a speaker there, but the big kind of project for community building that I worked on was launching a Discord community. So we had already had kind of a Slack workspace, but it was kind of, it wasn't super active. We weren't actively promoting in it. We weren't really engaging our users. So we wanted to kind of start fresh with a clean slate on a Discord server community, because we knew we had a bunch of attendees for this virtual conference. We had a great opportunity to get people in the community chatting, talking about accessibility, talking about software development. And so I was put in charge of that. And that was a really cool experience, because I was like, we have these really cool projects. We have this great mission. It's something that I'm really passionate about, and I want to build and bring other people into that same community and inspire them to have the same passion that I do. But in terms of tips, it's really, what I found was you have to be really engaged, right? So Francesco mentioned he's super active on social media now. And that's really I think the key to it is if you want to build a community, you have to keep it going. You have to keep feeding into it. And you have to keep encouraging and offering opportunities for engagement. So that would be my kind of summary on tips for how to build community a little bit.
I think as many things in our life, if we want this to be a good one, we should dedicate time. If you want a nice garden, I hope I will have one day, you need to dedicate more time. So I find communities very similar to this. You can't expect that you just drop a Discord link and then you are done. That's just the first step. It's a daily engagement, a weekly engagement, organizing events, try to answer and be kind, moderate a community. For example, I have one question, if you don't have anyone, which is what about the moderation? Because, for example, for me, I for some communities, you need to decide, do you want them to be closed or open? And I've been thinking for weeks, which one is better? I don't know, because I went for an open at the end, and for example, even at daily.dev, everyone can create an account and start posting. But we know what this might lead to. So, like, do you have experience in this and like moderating community? I think this is a crucial aspect.
Yeah. Thankfully, I was in good hands with our organizers of AxeCon and our marketing team. They already had a lot of strategies for moderation in place from running that virtual conference for 2 or 3 years already. So I was able to lean in on guidance from them, and we really worked together to figure out the best way to moderate and make sure that our Discord community is a safe space. So while it is free to join, we do have, we did kind of gate it in a way. So you had to be registered for AxeCon and basically accept and agree to our code of conduct. We laid out, guidelines for what is safe and appropriate communication in the server, and all of the people who join accept that. And then that way, if there comes to be any bad actors, we have that code of conduct to lean on, and then we have a system and process for reporting those things. Thankfully, I don't think, knock on wood, we've never had to get rid of, kick anybody out due to violations of the code of conduct. One of the things I think very fortunate is that in the digital accessibility community, it's a lot of people who really care. It's a lot of really kind and empathetic people, and so not too many troublemakers. But that's just kind of the approach that we took, and so hopefully that's helpful.
Yes, thank you, because I think this is a very important part. And and I can confirm that probably the developers community is the best I ever joined in my life. Other communities, they're not that welcoming, but we never know. So it's it's always important to have this. I think we had a quick question by Hodak Min Khan, if I pronounce that correctly. First of all, if you're a teenager, if you are active in the community, you are already won. Like, you're already my hero. And so they are asking more of like creating a website, small business alone, or creating a community. So I think we might get inspiration from this question and say, like, community first or product first? Which one is better? Which one came first?
Yeah, that's really interesting. So my experience is that the product came first, and I was really passionate about the product. And then I was like, I want to help, let people know about this and bring people into our community of creating a digital world that's inclusive and accessible. But I think that it could go the other way too. I've seen a lot of on Twitter now. I've also become more active on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Although I've been on Twitter since I was literally 13 years old. I signed up on my 13th birthday. I was never into the tech side of Twitter. It was always just like silly memes, and like I never wanted my work life to spill into that. But then when I dove into developer advocate, I did. But there's lots of communities there where I've seen, especially through connections here at that conference, there's a lot of folks who are transitioning into tech from a previous career, and they've built a lot of community together. So there's not necessarily a product there. And then I've seen kind of spin-offs of those community groups, then making a project, creating a product. So I've seen it go both ways. I don't think one is necessarily better than the other. I think community, like we said, it takes investment and time to build too. But when you have it and you have the support, that's also a huge asset.
Exactly. I absolutely agree. Having a communities can be like your secret weapon, because once it starts to grow, and when we start having organic engagement, people starting discussions, this is where the magic happens. So it requires a lot of watering, going back to the gardening analogy, but after a while, and that's probably one of my favorite parts, when you are a part of a community and you decide you see other people finding value in what you do. That's great. We at daily.dev are doing our best to basically create a very strong developer community in the world, and we really love what we do, and we are really working, but they're also here to hear from tips from you, because I think that we can all learn from each other, from other experiences, because we have different experiences. The daily.dev community is not the same as what you joined, for sure, but we can share ideas, because I don't know you, Rachael, but they didn't taught me how to build a community in high school or university. There is not
No,
like a high school manual about that. So we need to learn this by doing
yeah,
it, right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so maybe we can dig into kind of the part where I felt like my life really changed, if that's cool, if we kind of segue into that next.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So, like I said, I was promoted to developer advocate last fall. Around like September, October was when I really started diving headfirst in. And I had all of these great ideas. Like I wanted to do a series about cross-platform mobile app accessibility. So a little bit more about my background is I joined Deque on the mobile team. So I'm a web. I say I'm a web developer by trade, but I know a lot about about mobile accessibility and mobile testing. So while I was doing the web development for viewing the results of automated accessibility testing for mobile apps, I got to learn about both web accessibility and mobile app accessibility. And so I love to kind of like share both of those topics. And cross-platform mobile app development is where those two things kind of meld together, because we have frameworks like Ionic or React Native, where you can take your web development skill set and then build a mobile app with it. So I had this like big idea about building a series about how to build accessible cross-platform mobile apps, where I would, deep dive into each framework in its own video. But at the same time, I was also working on, developing my community, building community, getting my name out there, and engaging in in-person events as well. So speaking at meetups and conferences. So those were kind of all of the things floating around in my head. I was applying to a bunch of CFPs and then thinking about this video idea, but I didn't quite like work on it all that much. But my first kind of break into speaking at conferences was actually that conference, Texas. That was the first like acceptance letter that I got of like, your talk's been accepted. So that was like super, super exciting. And it makes this all kind of full circle that here I am again at that, but also talking about community. But that was super exciting. But I ended up for various reasons kind of having a mental health dip is what I would say, where I was really quite depressed towards the end of 2023. And then I went to Code Mash in January and spoke at Code Mash, and it kind of revived my energy, got some more energy back in, but really was still in that lull where I was just not feeling productive, not feeling like I was in my best headspace. And then I went to that conference in Texas, and that like really turned things around for me. And that's like the kind of the moment that I said where I was like, you know what, this being in this developer community is really changing my life. Like it really turned everything around for me. I met so many great individuals and became really connected on social media as well. So we kept that energy going afterwards. And I even connected with my friend Abby, who had contacts with Tracy, who then got me booked on this event here. So like we said, networking and community brings you so many opportunities that I never really desired or even thought of. But like after having that, I was like, oh my gosh, I've been missing this so much in my life. And so I took that energy and kept it going and kept being active on social media. And that was actually when I was building a bot for our Discord community. So like I said, we needed to verify that our users in the community had accepted our privacy policy. And so that's what I built a bot to do. So you would essentially just message the bot with the email address that you used to sign up for AxCon, which meant that you agreed to our code of conduct. And then it would let you into the server. And while I was doing that, I decided I would live tweet about like what I was doing each day. And it was so exciting, and it kept me going, and it got me motivated to like get up and be at my desk every day and continue working on the project. And that's where I said like, wow, this like, it was such a turnaround from how I was feeling just, a couple months prior. And I really rode all of that high all the way through February and kind of March. But then I ended up having another kind of lull and downturn of my mental health. And I ended up going through a lot personally. My cats, I have 3 cats that I love dearly. They are my babies. We were going through the process of diagnosing them with like an autoimmune condition. And then at the time I was also for myself seeking an ADHD diagnosis and ADHD treatment. And so it was really a lot. And I found that I couldn't get myself to sit at the computer and record those videos that I was so excited about. And I had recorded the first one, got the first one out, but I was just in a place where I was like, this isn't working. There's so many things I love about being developer advocate and I love about the community, but trying to sit down at my desk and write a blog post or record a video, it wasn't the right fit for me right then. And I just had this kind of wave of like revelation essentially of like, oh, wow, I really want to go back to my job in product. And it just really happened so quickly. I just knew it was the right thing to do. I wanted to be hands-on with my team, solving product problems day to day. But I knew that didn't mean I had to leave the developer community. I could still be active on Twitter. I can still go to conferences. I can still speak at meetups. I can still speak at virtual events like this. And so kind of what I took away from that was being part of the developer community. You don't have to be 100% all the time on. You can engage in the community in the way that like best suits you. As long as you're contributing to the community, you can take from it whatever is right for you. And that was just kind of my like closing thought on my story. So I think now is maybe a good time to answer some more questions and go from there.
We have many. I don't know if we'll make on time, but thank you so much, Rachel, for sharing this, because I think it's very important to understand. First of all, I'm a huge fan. First of all, thank you so much for sharing your you being vulnerable. I think it's a great thing, because on social media we always want to look cool, like in some ways. But I think I always admire and respect the people who share that they went to some issues, because we all have issues, but some of us they share it, some of them some of us they don't. So really thank you so much. Really appreciate this, really. And I'm happy. And yes, to create content. Creating content is like art, so you can't pay. It's hard sometimes to being so creative or smiling in front of the camera if you had a bad day or if you're going through a hard period. Absolutely understand this. We have some questions. Let's go with this one because I like it. What strategies or tips have you found for encouraging engagement and participation? We talked about like how engaging the community. I think you said that is probably one of the first things. I agree. So the how can you do this?
Yeah. What I find is if I'm excited, like if you're excited and you're emoting a fun and exciting energy, that draws people in, because that's what draws me in. I basically tried to think of it as from the angle of like what kind of things do I want to engage with, and just naturally then exuding that and kind of like taking notes from that, and also just like I said, I think just really being yourself is key to it too. Of that, people really resonate with authenticity. Like I really resonate with authenticity, kind of as what you're saying about sharing and being vulnerable. That's what I resonate with when people are real people too, and so I think people want to connect with people, and so the more that you can bring in the human element to the engagement, that's the more community and interactiveness I think you'll drive.
Yes, absolutely, Rachel. Yes, developers are human beings. This is big news, but that's it. Thank you so much. And if you still have time to drop, I think we have time for 1 or 2 more questions. But we have this one. Okay, this is the mother of all the questions for communities, because we have this person, CS student. So should I focus on perfecting my skills before trying to build and scale a community, or is it possible to do both simultaneously?
Yeah, I think you can do both. And I think doing both will really help you, because trying to perfect your skills in a bubble by yourself can be really daunting, and also really draining. Like you can get really down and into the grind of it. Whereas when you're part of a community and you build community around yourself, and especially if you find other CS students or other people that are interested in blockchain, you can learn from each other. And so other folks in your community will bring in resources or bring in concepts and ideas that you may not have found on your own while you're trying to perfect your skill set. So I would really encourage you to reach out, start building community, finding other people that are excited about blockchain, and feeding off of them, but also contribute back to them.
Yes, absolutely. I think that building a community as being active on social media should be integrated in what we do. We should not consider this as a job, a full-time job, especially in tech. Like we are doing our own things and then we share what we do. Unless, of course, if you are bored millionaires and we can dedicate 18 hours a day to building a free community, kudos to you, but probably you don't have an issue. We are talking to mortals, like people who have a job, a mortgage, and they also want to build a community. So in that case, I think integrating this with small daily engagement, even if it's small, it's probably the best solution ever. And then we don't know, because sometimes we have some periods of our life, hopefully, where we have less work to do. It didn't happen in the last 5 years for me, but probably at some point maybe you have, I don't know, 2 weeks, then maybe you can work on something specific. And in that case, you can integrate it. I would probably say that it's not like a switch that you say, okay, now I am a community builder or I'm not. Like usually is part of our process. And probably the more projects you are involved in, the more you're involved into open source or any other thing, the more you are already part of a community. The community is made of people, and it's not just a Discord server for sure. Hi, Diego. So, Rachael, anything else that you want to discuss? And then if we have any more questions, we can pick them. But really enjoying this conversation. And I want to say thank you so much for participating in this event while at a conference. So you are the living proof that you are actively doing all these things. I really appreciate it. So any more thoughts?
Yeah, well, thank you again for having me. Kind of my one last thought about being in the community, and for people who want to start joining community or start building community, is you may think like, oh, I don't know very much, I'm new, I don't have much to share, but that's not true at all. Just sharing your experience is valuable, regardless of what it is or what your experience is thus far. People are interested. People want to know about you, and that was the kind of the coolest thing that I learned, because I was one of those people who I never really liked the spotlight on me. I just want to keep to myself. But I've gained so much and gotten so much from that experience of putting myself out there. And it sounds really cheesy, but I know a lot of people get anxious or nervous about putting themselves out there. And my only kind of advice to that is just you just have to do it. It sounds so worst advice that you think you could possibly receive, but that's what I found is so true. It's just fake it till you make it, almost, just kind of pushing yourself off the ledge and just doing it and diving in. And then you'll find that people rally around you. People want to engage with other people. People want to lift you up. People want to lift each other up. And that's what I've really loved so much about being part of the developer community.
Yes, thank you. And yes, sometimes the tips are the most say obvious, but I think it depends also. I think it's still important to share them, because probably some people they don't know if they want to be part of a community or not. So this is exactly what many people I know. I would like just to add that probably to enjoy doing this, engage, because you don't know. If you don't go out of your house or virtually you start acting on social media, you never know. I met so many people on social media. Haimantika is one of the people that I met in person. But if I didn't start tweeting or being on social media, there was 0.001% of me meeting someone I met in India, for example, like this. So it's really life-changing, I would say. So thank you so much, Rachael. I really enjoyed this conversation. what is your talk about at that conference? I'm curious about.
My talk at that conference is component libraries, the foundation of accessibility at scale is the title. So I'll be talking about how we maintain our open source accessible component library that I mentioned, Cauldron. So we'll dive into kind of the concepts behind component libraries and building them to be accessible by default, and then even look at some exact code examples of how we technically do that as well.
Perfect. So we will try to support you. If you send me a DM, I will try to amplify. I will try, of course, also to be there. I want to answer to Woody super quick. So usually the next live is, we are doing this event usually the last Tuesday of the month. But I think that for September we will skip one, but no, in August it will be the last Tuesday. We will announce it soon. So we have been doing this for many years. Daily Dev is good. Thank you so much, Jean. Really appreciated. Rachel, I don't want to steal too much of your time because I know that you want to go in person. So thank you so much. I'm sure that you'll give me some FOMO for the TED conference pictures, but I'm here for that. No worries. And yes, thank you so much. Really appreciated. Thank you so much for sharing your tips. We included the links to follow her on social media in the description. So go and follow her. And yes, thank you so much, Rachel. Appreciated you doing so many things also at the same time. Conference, so while at a conference, that's the next level. Thank you so much, and see you hopefully soon. I'm working on come to that conference next year. Let's see if I can fix this big issue of mine. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
Bye.
Thank you very much, Francesco, and thank you to Daily Dev for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Bye. Okay, now talking about FOMO, I want to invite here a friend of mine, is because we are having this that conference FOMO, but so it's okay. It's fair. Fran, thank you so much. So Haimantika, so I think you have been invited on this event before I came to Bangalore, right? So we were already following each other, and then we met. We met in person, super funny person, I follow her everywhere, literally. Haimantika, please introduce yourself and give us like a trailer of your presentation, and we'll have, in this case, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, the time you need for this presentation, and then a Q&A session. So please introduce yourself.
Cool. So once again, thank you so much, Francesco, for inviting me here. It's great to be here on the daily.dev channel and also to interact with the audience. And also, if Rachel is still here, a big shout out to her for bringing up such a great topic and sharing her life story. I loved it, and there's so many parts that I could relate to as well. So a bit about me. Hi, I'm Haimantika, and then I also have prepared a slide, so that's where we'll talk a little bit more. But other than that, I am working at Hashnode currently as a developer advocate, and before that, I have worked at Appride and also at Microsoft. So at Appride, it was my first job as a developer advocate, and at Microsoft, I was working as a support engineer. But I always loved the community, and in fact, the city or the place that I come from in India. I have this running joke where I say that it's known for all the T's, and by T's, it's like tea, timber, table tennis, but the T there does not stand for technology. And when I was in my college years, so for me, learning about tech was mostly through community, which is why communities are a very soft or form a very soft corner in my heart. Like, be it any technical knowledge that I have up till now, or even soft skills, which is also very important for developers, are something that I contribute to communities. The first one that I joined was by Microsoft. Back then, it was called Microsoft Student Partners. Now it has been renamed to Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. So this was one community. And okay, why she left Microsoft? Okay, we will talk about that. That's an interesting question. But yeah, I think yeah, communities are a very important part for me. Like, I have learned so much, and and ever since I was also active on Twitter and LinkedIn, which I believe is my wider tech community, it has also introduced me to a lot of people, including you, Francisco, and it has also given me a lot of opportunities. So I believe that it's the best of both worlds, that I get to meet people, get to talk about tech, and now I think the best part is that I get paid to actually do the things that I love. So yeah, that's a long answer to your short question about me. But and my topic today is a lot about communities, and especially if there is somebody here in the chat who is a community manager or is also a development personal or a development professional, this talk is going to be helpful for them. But for anybody who wants to understand that how to build a communities, because one problem that I have seen is a lot of people start communities but they have to shut it down because of the number of mistakes that they make, or there's not enough people who are engaging, so on and so forth. So that's about my topic, and that's what we will be talking about today.
Perfect. Thank you. So when you want, you can share your screen, and
Yep.
soon we will start with the presentation. Remember that you can share your questions while Haimantika is doing the presentation, and at the end we will pick some of them. I'll take care of saving them for the end. Okay. So this
Right.
is the presentation: how to build and scale communities. I love, of course, the two terms. Haimantika,
Yep.
best of luck. I will disappear from the screen, but I'm still active in the chat, so no worries. And see you
Cool.
soon. Okay. Bye bye.
Yes.
Bye.
Good. Thank you. So, hi everybody. Now let's get started with the topic for the day, which is how to build and scale communities. And like Francisco mentioned, let us focus on both the words equally, that how to build one and how to scale one. Maybe some of you can also drop in the comments if you have experience in building a community, and if there are certain mistakes or certain things that you have faced that did not let you get the expected results, or if there are communities that you loved and are no more active. And that's also because like whenever we are building a community, we are building it with all the love and we have something in our mind, but then we are not able to scale it, which is why it is important that we put emphasis on both of these words, and only then we start building our community. So that's what this talk is all about. And if you have any questions, feel free to bombard them on the comment box. I'll try to answer them soon after this talk. If not, I'll also try to take them offline. But let's get started. So, hi, it's me. I already gave you a bit of an introduction about me. And one thing that I would like to mention in this slide is this npm package that I built. So, go to your terminal, and I believe that you have npm installed. If you do, just type in npx space hello hyphen Haimantika, and then you'll see a little bit more about me, where you'll also have access to my portfolio and where all my social media links and everything is included. But I usually like to bring this up on my talks just to showcase the cool package that I built. So yeah, that's about me. And below I also have my Twitter handle. So anytime if you have any questions, I also develop a lot of projects over the weekend, including with AI, like mostly Gen AI, and also on front end. So if you need any help on that, and if you want to brainstorm, I am also free to help you on that. So that's about me, and we'll move on with the topic for today. So the first thing is building a community. But before that, let us understand what a community in general is. I belong from India, and I am sure that for many other countries, this is same thing, that there is a bunch of people who you like to meet or who you vibe with, or there is a bunch of people that you keep meeting for your festivals. So that is the community feeling that you have. You don't have to think about tech communities, but then the community feeling has been existing since forever. In India, it started under the banyan trees, like you must have seen in films, or you must have heard from your ancestors that there used to be a big tree underneath which people would meet. They would talk about their culture. They would talk about how the city is moving or how the village is moving, and so on and so forth. So, the basic idea is that like-minded people meet together for a little while and they discuss or talk about topics that they are interested in. So whenever there is a community that is formed, it means that you have a common interest. So for tech communities, the common interest is that you want to learn, you want to share, and you want to build with tech. And once you know what a community is, the next thing is you need to answer a few questions before building a community. One thing that I suggest to everyone, especially to students, that instead of jumping into building a community of your own, first look for existing communities. Are there communities that have the exact things that you need? If yes, start contributing to them, because contributing to a community is equally important. What is the use of having thousands and thousands of community when there are no contributors? So if you are somebody who is contributing to a community, you are equally a builder, or you are equally somebody who is a community leader. So find that first. And even after that, if you feel that okay, there is not a community, then answer these questions. And if you are a professional who is building a community for work, even then these questions are something that you need to answer. First thing first, that why do you need a community? Have all of these questions listed somewhere, maybe on a Notion doc, or we also open the Hashnode editor, so you can just go and take your notes as well. So first write that why do you need a community, have an aim in mind, have a basic in mind. And once you have that, the next is who are the people who you want to join your community. So you need to know your people. Like, are these people web developers, or are these people junior developers, are these people app developers? So there can be different types of people, there can be different types of developers, there can be people from different regions as well. So there are different persona of developers, and everybody culturally is also very different. So understand who your community members are. And once you have the first two questions answered, the next one is, what is your goal? Is it providing support, or is it to share your knowledge? For example, a lot of people also consider their Twitter profile as their community because they are constantly creating content and sharing their knowledge on a particular domain. So what is your goal? Is it to help people? Is it to provide motivation? Is it to provide education, or is it to provide support? And if you're working in a company, is it to help your product grow? Is it to tell 10 other developers that, hey, if this is a problem that you are facing, we have a product for that, and I can help you um, get that solved if you are joining our community. So have a clear goal in mind. And a lot of times the goal may be one, maybe two, maybe three. So make sure that you're listing all of them out. And the final one is that, how can you achieve your goals? Write a strategy. So my way of doing things is, if there is a big task like building a community, when you're having it in your mind, it seems like an easy thing that, oh, I just need to sign up on Discord and have a Discord server, or maybe I need to open a Slack group and a channel, and then it's done. But no, there's a lot of work that needs to be put into, there's a lot of thinking that needs to be put in as well, because these are all people, and these are also people from different parts of the world, from different cultures, from different background, who you do not know about. So make sure you have a very fixed goal in your mind, you know what you are doing, and then you proceed forward. And like I mentioned, like, my way of doing is to have a big task and divide it into shorter or easier tasks. So for your own goals, whenever you're building a community, make sure that you write a strategy for the next 3 months, or maybe for the next 1 week, even like try to make it shorter, have achievable goals. That my goal is, let's say for example, my goal is to build a community for web developers, and I want to educate them on JavaScript and Next.js, for example. Now to achieve that, I need to teach them, and what I want to achieve here is to teach or to educate about these frameworks and also to build projects. So for this, what I need is good learning resources, and what I also need is some mentors who can guide these people. And the third thing that I need is, since we're also building something, maybe some project ideas. And fourth, I also need to discover some platforms where people can showcase their projects. So similarly, whenever you're building a community, have these goals written somewhere so that it's easier for you to see it in front of your eyes and then put it into action. So that's about building a community. Now, some of the must haves for building any community is resources. And this is useful both for, if you're doing it for your work, or if you're also doing it as a passion because you like to help developers. Make sure that there is a good onboarding journey within your community. So whenever I'm joining your community, I am a newcomer, or I am a beginner, and I should not be lost. Like there should be, it should be very simple. Developers, like, no matter how much we work on complex things, but in reality we really like something that is very simple. So if I am joining a new community, I wouldn't like to be bombarded with a lot of options. I would like it to be very simple, something that takes a few seconds or hardly a minute for me to sign up, log in, or and maybe if there are onboarding questions, just answer those and get in your community. And if it is something more than that, then you are probably shooing people away than helping them get into your community. So have a good and simple onboarding journey within your community. The next is have some resources. And if you are building a community as a company, this can be documentation, this can be video tutorials, this can be articles, this can be normal technical blogs, or even thought leadership blogs that have resources. Or this can be a simple document about what your community is, what people can expect here, but have something so that it becomes easy for a person who is joining your community, is a newcomer, to know what it is all about and get to learn more. And then finally, have some resources to navigate. Now all of these resources can be a bit overwhelming, but if you can have a good navigation flow, that okay, your step one is to just join the community, your step two is to introduce here in the introduction channel. I'm just giving you an example scenario from my brain. And maybe the third scenario is to share something that you have recently built. And then the fourth part is to possibly share a resource that has helped you. So whenever you there is a flow that people have, and then there are resources that people can go back to or they can refer to, it becomes very easy for you to make sure that the community members are feeling welcomed and they are not lost. Because I have seen this in a lot of communities. Whenever I'm joining them, it's so cluttered or it's so confusing that as soon as I join, I'm like, oh wow, that's too many texts. It's very overwhelming. I'll probably not drop a text, or that's like that. Just join the community is the only action that I'll ever perform, and I'll never communicate. So that's not something that you want. So make sure that it's very easy, and then you have enough resources and enough help and support for these people. Next is contribution guidelines. So you all must have heard about the oxytocin effect. So what is it? For example, I am giving this presentation right now, and whenever you're asking me questions, or if there are comments about, oh wow, that was a great presentation, or something about that, it immediately gives me a feeling of accomplishment that I spent my time here, or I was talking about this, I shared my experiences, and people loved it, or they had questions. So the feeling of accomplishment or the feeling of getting something is when oxytocin is released. And there can be many other ways how oxytocin is released, but especially in communities, whenever there is something that you are getting back, that is what makes you happy. And this can be like, it doesn't have to be swags, or it doesn't have to be something materialistic. Something as simple as, let's say you have a community, I am joining there and I'm just dropping a hi, this is Haimantika message, and somebody from the community is acknowledging my message and welcoming me to the community. That is when I instantly feel validated, and I feel happy that okay, this community, it bothers my presence. So make sure you have that. And you should also have some contribution guidelines, about what next, how to, like, you need to make sure that the people, as soon as they are joining, is just not in one time activity. You need to find ways by which they can constantly interact with the community or participate in events. For example, daily.dev is doing these live streams every month, so you are finding a reason to be there to on daily.dev YouTube channel, because they are bringing guests who are sharing their expertise on different topics. So there is some guideline for you, or there is some reason for you to stay in the daily.dev community. Next, this is something that is an extra, but I have seen it in the virtual coffee community and I loved it. So, if you can form a peer group, I have also seen this in a lot of Discord channels that they have voice chat. So, a peer group can be anything. I have also seen this in of Indian community members will know about Hitesh. Even he has it in his Discord channel. So, for example, there are 10 people in the community who are preparing for interviews. So help them make a peer group, connect with each other, and then within the peer group, maybe prepare for the interviews. Or there can be a peer group that is building side projects on the weekends. So form that. That is how you make friends from the community, or that is why you feel that there is a reason for you to keep coming back to this community. And this is not only for you as a community builder, but for me as a community person. I would like to come back or go back to a community when I meet more people like me, because at the end of the day I would like to learn something, and I would also want to make friends. So if I can do that, or if the community can help me do that, I will 100% stay on that community. Next is have a feedback system. Like I've seen this again. Virtual community by Becca is my favorite example. You all can check it out online. So have form a peer group. It might be a bit difficult to do that, and huge respect to the virtual coffee community for doing that. So form a peer group, and then there should be a feedback system. And you can start small. For example, there is a community of girls that I am a part of. Daniela Pazos, she started that, and we are a group of girls, and we meet every week just to share our progress on what we are building. And then, for example, let's say I am great at development but I suck at designing, and there can be somebody in this group who is great at designing, and she can come and share me some feedback on my design skills. And maybe she is not so great at development, and I can go and share her some expertise or some feedback on development. So when you have a peer group, somebody, or you form a peer group where people are in the same boat, and each other, um, and everybody can share some feedback to each other, that is when you feel that okay, these are my people. You get the feeling of oneness or the feeling of community, and then you would want to be there. Or even if you have a very busy schedule, you would want to be in those meetings, or you would want to be in those peer groups, just to share how your day has been, what your progress has been, and how you can improve. So these are some of the things I believe that if you can have in your community, it can really help you scale. The building part is done, but to scale, these are some of the fine things that are missing in a lot of communities. And if you can do it well, this is not going to be easy, especially not as easy as I am speaking right now, but it's going to take a lot of time. But when you finally accomplish this, you'll see that there are people taking examples of your community, and that's when you know that you have really done a good job. Now, here's another example of how you can scale a community once you have done part A. Now, this is where part B follows. And like I've mentioned here, there is not one size fits all rule that follows in communities. The community, for example, that I am building an hash node can be very different from the community that Francesco is building at daily.dev. And there's a lot of factors that comes into play. For example, the audience, it can be that the audience I have is very enterprise, or the audience that I have can be somebody in marketing or somebody in VP or senior executive level, and it can be that daily.dev has a very developer audience. So it also depends a lot on these factors like the audience. And if you're building it as a part of your job, then there's other things as well, like the company or the product goals. That if you are building a community as a part of your company, what is your company goal? How do they want you to help you in building a community? So there is a lot of these factors. But what I've seen done doing really good is the foundation. The first foundation is to have enough and good resources. This can be written resources, video resources, or even support. Just joining a community and finding one people or two people or three people who are there to help and answer my question is a great feeling, is something where that I look for when I am joining new communities. Next is a presence of a forum or a channel. What I've seen is a lot of these communities, they have so many links, and the community is scattered in so many different channels that it becomes very confusing for one to know where to put what questions or where to ask what kind of questions or queries. So make sure that you have one place where you can bring in all the community and where you can have all your community efforts consolidated into one. So that is one thing. And the final thing is building programs. I'm sure most of you here have heard about different programs like Google Developer Experts, Microsoft Most Valued Professional, and then there is also Docker Captains. I think there is also Cloud Native Ambassadors, and there are so many such programs that you have heard being done by companies. So if that is because there is something that these programs have that makes the community members to come back and keep contributing to the community. So that is like the topmost part of the funnel, and you do this only when you have perfected the first two layers, and only then you move to the third layer. And some expert advice, like not an expert advice but some advice on how to build a program, is to have a good plan of action. You need to answer that why do you need this program, how are you going to execute it, and what is the goal of this program. And this is, I feel, is especially if you are a devrel or a community manager. I know it's a very interesting part of the job to build a program from scratch, but make sure you're doing it only if you have enough reasons. Because you must have heard about a lot of great programs that existed and that has been shut down, and the main reason is that there was not enough reasons to continue the program. So whenever you're thinking to build a program, make sure that you have answers the what, how, and why of building a program. Next is especially when you are working in a company and then it involves some money, make sure that you do some calculations, that there is a measure on how much you're spending, even if you're spending for swags, and what's the outcome for it. And then people who take a lot of flights will probably know about the hub and spoke model. So especially if you're doing this at your work, make sure that the program that you're building is following the hub and spoke model. It has worked great for companies like Google, like any big companies, and if you see their ambassador programs, you'll see that it has really worked out well. So what they do is, like, there is one hub which can be the DevRel team of the company, and they have different people or different advocates of their product across the world. These advocates are also ambassadors. And let's say that DevRel team wants to educate about their product, and instead of them going to different parts of the world, now they have advocates who are their community members and champions of the product, who are advocating for their product on their behalf. And in return, they're getting a lot of support and everything that is needed from the company. So read up about this model, and I'm sure it will help you a lot. And also, I think this is absolutely necessary before you start any initiative, be it a, even if you're building a website. I think research is very important. So do a thorough research of other programs. If there are some programs that you really like, understand why they worked out. Or if there are some programs that you liked and have now been paused, also understand that why did they stop, what are the mistakes that they made. And if there are certain programs that are succeeding, what are the good things that they have done. So do your own research, and then make a list of all of these, and then have a plan of action. Once you have done all of that, I feel that you are ready to build a program. And then you need to discuss it with the leadership, and just get go from there. And here are some of my favorite programs that I personally take inspiration from. And there are a ton of other programs as well that I didn't mention here. For example, GitHub Stars, and then there is Docker Captain as well, and then there is GitHub Campus Experts as well. So there are so many other programs that I really like, and I couldn't fit it in one slide. But I'll talk about Kubernetes Release Shadow. So when I was contributing to open source for the first time around 4 or 5 years back, and it was in the cloud native ecosystem, I got to know about Cloud's Kubernetes Release Shadow, and I think it was great because they found a great way to involve more contributors. And we all love contributing to open source, especially when a project is as big as Kubernetes, when we can learn new technical things, where you can contribute. So, this program is also helping you in education. It is built in a way that developers can actually build with your product, and can give you more feedback that can help you improve the product. So I feel this is a great way to get feedback, to get more people using your product, and also to create awareness and build a great product, which it already is. And next, I also love outreach. Like is an understatement. So initiatives like this, I believe it contributes to developer education. And what outreach does is, like, there is a lot of open source projects, and if you have applied to outreach, and if you are they also make sure that they are targeting the minority groups in tech, and so that it gives an equal opportunity to everybody in tech. So I love that outreach is contributing so much to developer education and uplifting those groups that are not well represented in tech. And since there are a lot of open source projects, so for the projects, it's a big win because they are also getting help from people who can help in building their product. So this was my second favorite. And the third one is something that I built. So I had to put it up here. And it was the App Resources Fund. It was a program that was built to support open source maintainers. We have seen a lot of programs around open source, but nothing to celebrate open source maintainers. So we did that. And what it really helped me in is understanding more about open source, understand the pain points of maintainers, and also understand that how we as developers can contribute and make sure that the open source community is thriving. So these are great. And once we did that, we also saw a lot of other companies are following a similar model and building similar programs. So these are some programs to take inspiration from. And with that, we are almost to the end of the talk, and I would like to conclude it with a saying that I wrote, that community is a byproduct of actions and initiatives. It's like there's a common saying that Rome wasn't built in a day. Similarly, a community cannot be built in a day. You need to keep investing your time and resources, and then you need to keep contributing. You need to keep talking to people. You need to have the idea. You need to be very empathetic. You need to be you. There should be a want from inside you to help people, to just build together, have a feeling of oneness, and that is how I believe a community is built. And with that, I'll stop the monologue and see what you all have for me in the questions.
Thank you so much, Haimantika. This was really a great presentation, and I highly, highly recommend also to follow her everywhere because she didn't give a shout out to herself. So I'm gonna I'm gonna say this. So we have a link. We have a link below. So follow her everywhere. Everything we're doing. I really felt a very genuine, authentic talk. We have some questions. I just want to say something super quick to the uploaded mind that asked about daily dev squads being paid. I don't think this is never gonna happen. So go create your squad, enjoy it. No worries, for sure. Someone is asking for the slide or the presentation. If you can share it, or maybe you can follow her. So maybe at some point you will understand. If you have any link, you can share it now.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, do you want to answer to this Microsoft thing? If you want, of course. Otherwise, we skip it.
Yeah. So I left Microsoft because it was just for the role. I had, like, I wanted to do a more technical role where I am building with tech, where I get the feeling of community, and in my support role I was not able to do that, and that is main reason why I left. But it's a great company, and maybe sometime in the future, if there are openings, I would love to go back. So yeah, that's why I left. It was just so that I could follow my passion. If I had to sum it up, I wanted to follow my passion, and it still is developer relations.
Yeah, I agree. And sometimes I like leaving a company. It sounds like scary at the beginning, but maybe, after 6 months, after 1 year, maybe sometimes we need to just change, and it's absolutely fine. I
Yeah.
love this question, Amatika. I was waiting for to ask you this question. This is one of my favorite ones. Get ready. Why build a new community when many already exist?
Absolutely. I think I just talked about it on my first or second slide, that don't build a community if there are similar ones that already exist, especially something that exactly matches your requirements. And this is for, like, I have seen a lot of students who come up and ask me that, should I just build a new community, which is why I mentioned that even contributing to a community means that you are a community person or you are a community builder. So for personal communities or for individual communities, this is something that I'll suggest, that if there are existing communities, just don't um, build a new one. But if you're building something new, something that does not exist, then obviously you should do that. And if you're doing it for work, then you'll have different reasons and different goals to build it, which is why there are so many company related communities that exist as well. But for individual related communities, do not build until and unless you are 100% sure, or your idea of building a community is 100% unique.
Thank you so much. We have one question by the good Arindam. We met in Bangalore some
Yeah.
weeks ago.
Mhm.
Importance of community shoutouts. I see that Arindam makes many community shoutouts, and I really appreciate that. So, what do you think is important? And we can even tweak. I want to tweak a bit the question by Arindam, like community shoutouts and also collaborations with the communities. Are the other communities my enemies or not? This is the question.
Okay, so I'll just answer a bit of Arindam's question about community shout outs. So I talked about the oxytocin effect or the impact. So, for example, if I'm building something, or if I am posting an article on daily.dev that is doing great, and then suddenly I see a tweet from Francesco sharing that, hey, Haimantika, you posted this article and it's doing great. And immediately I'll feel very happy that, okay, Francesco, who is working at daily.dev, um, he sees that I have worked, I have posted something there, and then it has worked well, and he appreciates my work, or he is proud that I actually posted something on that platform. So just one tweet or just one shout out is enough for me to keep going back to the community, because I feel immediately validated. So I am absolutely agree. If I would 100% say that community shout outs are very important. It just makes a person feel good. It's very similar to when we were back in school, and let's say we would score good marks and a teacher would like good, very good, or excellent. And I used to be the happiest kid back home and would show that, hey, this is what my teacher wrote. So I think it's very similar to that. And you talked about community collaboration. I think that we as Devril, we this is something that I was also thinking last night while going to sleep, that Devril or community people in general are very much up for collaboration. Like any day, I know if I'm texting you or in the anybody I know from the community that, hey, I'm planning to write an article, or let's say I'm planning to do a video. Would you like to jump on a call with me or somebody? And I've never found anybody so far who said no. Timing and routine can be a different part of the conversation, but nobody said no. Like I'm yet to meet a person who is not empathetic and is not up for collaboration. So the things like enmities and everything, I haven't faced that yet. And I don't think that that should exist, because every community member or every community should coexist and see how they can collaborate and make each other better.
Thank you so much, Haimantika. Sometimes I have to say no when I'm about to jump on a plane or on vacation. So, but except those
Exactly.
parts, I usually say yes. It depends, of course. On a type of
Yeah.
collaboration, I can confirm that developer advocates, they are usually like content creation machine. They really enjoy doing this. It's like it's like warriors. They like fighting. Like we like doing these collaborations. It's otherwise we will not be in the realm probably.
Yeah.
So yes. We have a couple of questions by Bob that is also working on a
Mhm.
community. Cool ideas or example of giving back to the community. Giveaways, community token, collabs, ideas.
Great. I think I can probably give you an example from my stint at AppRight. So on our community Discord channel, there used to be a lot of people who would randomly share memes, or they would share the projects that they're building on, or they would come and just help other people who are stuck on different AppRight related problems. And we could see that, we would thank them, but there was, and we are like, okay, we need to make them feel more special. So that's when we came out with this community spotlight awards, and then I made super fancy titles for all of these different tracks. For example, best memer is one of them, the best support is another title, the other one was the, I think, most supportive GitHub person, if there was somebody who was helping us on issues, discussions, and so on. And then we would give them we would also give them a shout out on social media, and we would also send them some swag. So this was one way of doing things. And a lot of times swags might not be possible. So if you have a company blog, or there is a community spotlight page, or a hall of fame page is a great idea. So maybe you can have a hall of fame and then highlight these people and say, okay, these people are the champions of our community. They have been here since day one, or the day since they joined, they have been very active and helping other people. I have a ton of those ideas, Bob. I'm more than happy to give you a more detailed, or have a detailed conversation on that. But these are two or three ideas that I could share.
Yes, and I can say that we are absolutely new about giveaways at daily.dev. We literally you can win some merch probably almost every day yeah, of the year. It's a nice thing to do, of course. We had one more. I think we had this other one by Bob.
Okay.
And we have time for 2-3 more questions. Best thing about being a community leader. I think it makes you feel warm and fuzzy. Job satisfaction factor. So what's the good part? Is there a good part in being a community leader?
There is a good part. I think there are mostly good parts, and I think the only bad part, not the bad part, but I think this is something that most devil people will relate to, is context switching, because we want to do so much and there's so little time that 24 hours feels so less to us. So that's the only bad part I feel. But yeah, what makes you feel warm, like me in general, I did not know about this role existing. But when I was just graduating, I was like, if I could find a role where I used to teach in NGOs, and I loved helping people in general, and I loved talking about tech. I loved writing, I loved building things, and I was like, if I can find a role where I'm doing all of these, it would be the perfect role for me. And that is when I came across the developer advocate or developer relation job role, and then I instantly could relate to it. And something that makes me feel warm on a day to day basis, for example, there is somebody who is facing a problem, they're like, oh god, this is annoying bug that I cannot squash, or there is this annoying error that I'm getting, and they drop a message on a Discord server, and I'm like, hey, this is how you solve it. So it's like I have a magic wand that I can that I can revolve, or that I can uh, swing, and then I have the solution for them. So, and then at the end of the day, they're like, oh, thank you, I was stuck on it for a while now, and now you have solved it for me. There's a satisfaction that he gets, and even I get a satisfaction, big satisfaction from my end, because I could help them solve the problem that they were facing for some time. This is just one example. There's so many more that I come across, not daily but very frequently. I remember that I was at a conference early this year in India itself, and then randomly somebody came up to me and said that, hi, Haimantika. I think they just had dropped me a message on LinkedIn that they were stuck on something, and I helped them. And I don't even remember because it was years back. And then they're like, oh, thank you, you helped me finish my final year project. So when you do these things, or when you hear that you helped somebody finish their final graduation project, or you help somebody fix solutions at their work, or something that they were stuck on, I think that that's what makes me feel really, really warm and gives the human factor to my job.
Thank you, and I agree. Like, this is what really makes us feel very, very good. We have one more question. I think just one more, and of course, also many people like gave many compliments. Of course, Haimantika, check her link in the description. Of course, let's end with this one.
Yeah.
Some of the best ways to keep your community members engaged.
One easy way that we all talk about, but then a lot of communities fail to do that, is just engaging with the community members. So let's say you have a community and I'm new there, and I drop a message that, hi, I'm Haimantika and I'm joining this community. A lot of times, most of these communities, they tend to ignore my text, or there's nobody who is responding to my text. So just a normal hi or welcome to the community is good enough. That's one way. And since these are also online communities that we are talking about, and not a lot of times can we do offline or in-person meetups, so I believe if you can have office hours or AMA hours or live streams like this, where your community members can see the people who are behind the community, can talk to them, can have a very nice conversation, I think that's a great way to keep your members engaged. And also, if you can, like I told about two ways, and the third way is if you can give them a feeling of exclusivity, that since you are a community member, we have this let's it can be about, for example, from Devtool perspective, that we are working on this release, and from the community we will be choosing 10 people who can help us test and maybe raise some bugs or even squash them. And that gives them a feeling of exclusivity, that this company has, let's say, 100K users, and from that 10 people, 10 of us are chosen to test it, to we are given exclusive access. So there are a ton of ways to do that, but these are top three ways that I believe can be done easily and is very effective.
Thank you so much. So we are at the end of the talk, but I would like still to invite Tobiloba. Tobiloba's been. Let me invite him. Tobiloba, you are like the person, like, when everything is about to close, but I admire you so much for making it today, that I want to we don't have to make the time to make a talk, but maybe you can share a short version, a tweet version of what you wanted to share today. And I would like, yes, because it was not like having fun, but he was going to school, so I understand this. Tobiloba, you made it. And so if you want to share something about community and you want to make, more, let's say, compressed version of your talk, maybe you can also leave the slides, or maybe if you some other parts of this. Please introduce yourself, and we will stay just for you. We were about to close, but I want to make an exception. Haimantika, thank you so much for coming. You can stay if you want. We can stay here, and just 5 minutes, and then we wrap up. We're making an exception just for you, Toby.
Thank you very much, Francesco. I really appreciate it. Hello everyone. Sorry I joined in late. I just finished an exam like 20 minutes ago, so I was like rush over.
Wow.
But yeah, excited to be here. I'm Tobiloba. I'm a software engineer, developer relations engineer, and yeah, I'm a CS student. I do a lot of open source, and yeah, I work. At the moment I work as a developer engineer for Fleek. I've been on a couple of amazing open source projects that I have fun working with. I started with 4C. Kudos to Francesco up here. But yeah, so tweet version of my talk today. I shared the slides in the private chat with Francesco. Maybe you can share it as well. But tweet version, I would say community do's and don'ts was my talk, and let me just give like 5 pointers. Do's in a community. You have to be nice in the community. Relate to people, and in the community, make sure that you, wherever means you join the community by, you make sure that you like kind of leave an impact and connect to people, because that sort of like goes along with making sure that they reciprocate whatever it is that you put into the community and like share here and there. Another thing in the community is to ensure that you are actively like looking for the best things to drive the community forward, looking for the places, the opportunities that the community would value. Our members as well would also be like, okay, this is actually an amazing thing. That way they are able to be like, okay, you actually have that community spirit to ensure that you have that synergy, keep that synergy going within the community. Third thing I would say in the community, thank you, Haimantika. Yeah, thank you for joining. In the community, you ensure that you have a goal in the community. The community has a goal, you have your own goal, but you have to ensure that whatever community you join, you are joining for a purpose, because communities do not just exist, they thrive on like goal-driven people and purpose-driven people that have come together and be like, okay, we want to achieve this for this community. How do I, with my own goals and things that I'm looking to like ascertain, how do I like contribute to what the community is trying to get to? Final and last but not the least, I'm sorry, this is like stuff I just extracted from my slides. Collaboration, very key. Collaboration is highly key, because in a community, it is ensured, it's required, or would I say it is expected that you are able to collaborate with members within. You don't just pick up things and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this alone. Even though you can, you shouldn't. So let me just put that there. Even though you can, you shouldn't. You should find people who are willing to contribute and collaborate with them to achieve that certain thing. That way it gives more it's more grand when you achieve it with more people, even though you can't do it alone, and people will value and appreciate that more because you were able to include them in that journey and that process, and you were able to like go through it together. I've made some really amazing friends doing things like that, collaborating with people and being like, well, yeah, let's do this together. I can do this, you do that, and then we achieve that. That way, it's a very great way to make friends. I'm connected to so many amazing people just by doing that and stuff. So I'd say, yeah, those are my pointers to share. Thank you very much, Francesco. Thank you very much, daily.dev.
Yeah, so I just want to like highlight how Tobiloba in just 5 minutes gave like so many gems. That was basically a very, very valuable information. If you have any quick question for Tobiloba, you can, I will make an exception and I will accept one single question. So get quick. Yes, Tobiloba, I see that you have been very active on many different communities, my community on Discord, and also your Twitter. You really love. It seems to me that you really love this part. Like some people, maybe they're more focused on social media or the creation. You are very, very focused about like the building community itself, like engaging with the people. Am I right?
Yeah, that is correct, because I find that it is from like a child, I've always had this ability of uh doing things with people to like, even if I'm studying or doing anything or I'm like trying to learn anything, I prefer like I just have my friends or people around that I'm like, okay, let's learn this, and we just pick that up in like 10 5 minutes without different ideas coming in, people dropping their thing. I've been able to like pick up very complex even technologies and stuff just by being in a meeting with people and like just having people chip in and us discussing and stuff. So it's been that that vibe, I would say, that has kept me in a part in like several phases of my life, even in now that I'm in tech. It has it's something that I'm very interested in, I'm always like passionate about, to like have uh people around, people that I know, okay, we share a common goal. Why don't you just come together to do something that is fun, and let us all have fun, and let us achieve something that we can put out there and be like, and help somebody out there that is like maybe struggling or wants to learn something, or you just wants to feel among and be like, yeah, I got to do this because of this person, and providing value and also providing value to yourself. I've learned so many things just from communities. I've picked up I've improved on my front end skills, improved on DevRel. I didn't actually go through like what I say structured course, but I got to like work with people like Francesco, people like people, other DevRels within the community. People joining spaces with people like YK and stuff. They're just picking up nuggets here and there and using that to like what I say to mold and shape myself towards my goals and stuff. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much, Tobiloba. I think you also made some presentations. You even mentioned me in some presentations, so I really appreciate that. One quick question from Bob. I don't know if you know each other. You are similar in this way of engaging the community a lot, so I'm sure you already know each other. What are you currently cooking at the moment? So basically, what are you currently working on? If it's related to communities, it's even better, but feel free to share whatever you want.
Oh, at the moment, I'm working on open source AI, and I've been working on the Downstack project. I don't know if you know that Downstack is like a tool chain of like several front end tools, mostly React and some of these React like ecosystem frameworks and stuff. So I've been more on that because and there are two open source projects that I've been like working closely with, like maintained by friends or owned by friends, that I sort of like came on board to help them out and drive them, because they are still like in their growing phases. So that's one of the things I've been working on. And another thing that I also added, maybe I probably saw my video because I interact with Bob a lot. Like Bob is amazing. So I've been working on like my content because I recently got my setup, and I was trying to like I've been like piecing things together to like focus more on building in public, and I have some ideas lined out of streams that I'll be doing, and videos as well I'll be posting out. So I think those are some of the things I've been working on, mostly open source AI and front end tooling. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tobiloba. Feel free to follow this awesome person, awesome guy, super engaging. You will love it for sure. We are at the end of this event, so Tobiloba, no worries, we will invite you again, we will do spaces. We have a space about roadmaps for developers. We have the roadmap.sh team, CEO and developer advocate. Ooh. So you should definitely join, because if you want to know about roadmaps, probably inviting roadmap.sh is a good idea. So this will be happen on Thursday. We will still make these events on YouTube. There is one big news that I started to announce it now. We are starting to do some feedback form about these events, so you can help us to improve it. You can give feedback. You can say what you like, what you didn't like. I was about to create this form right before this event, but I didn't make it on time. So expect a link where you can share anonymous information about this event, what you liked the most, how we can make it better, because we really want to make this as a great event and free event for developers. This is the episode number 43. So we are close to doing for 4 years, every month, 2-3 speakers with very interesting topics. So expect this link. I will also share this. I will not share this now in the chat. I wanted, but I didn't make it. I'm sorry. But expect in the next coming days, I will share this link on social media, on email. So you can. We would really appreciate your feedback. Thank you so much, everyone. I gave Toby a follow on Twitter. You are big brain, Edmond. Nice and good idea. You should definitely collaborate in spaces. That's
definitely.
it. Thank you so much, Tobiloba. I just want to say that for any other speaker, I would not have made this exception just for you. You know, you have a special place in my heart. So thank you so much. And yeah, sorry, go.
No, I was just saying thank you, and I really appreciate daily.dev. They're amazing. I've been a huge fan of daily.dev since way back in 2020. So it's amazing that I'm a monthly dev now.
Yes.
Really
we are actually we're like improving, and we will share soon some big stats about daily dev, because we've been growing like this in the upcoming months. So we stopped bragging a bit because we want to brag big soon. So soon expect some big bragging. This is how we're going on this part. And yes, thank you so much. It's not an issue if you joined late. This video is going to stay on YouTube, and I'm also going to add the timestamps. That's it. Tobiloba, thank you so much. You made it really on the really last minute. It really made me happy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. I will share the link to the feedback soon. Feel free to fill it, and of course give shout out to all the speakers. Thank you so much. Bye and see you next month. Last Tuesday of the month, usually there is the monthly dev, and all this event, of course, is sponsored by daily.dev. Be sure to check it out. It's 100% free. You can join a huge community of a developer-focused community. Thank you so much, and bye-bye.